Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Roswell, New Mexico, Season 1, Episode 1. It is simply called The Pilot, and we will start spoiler free because it's the first episode, and we
Oh,
will
you
warn you.
remembered.
We will warn you in the middle. At least wait until I finish my sentence before you interrupt with a
There was a pause. I thought
comment.
you were done.
There's a natural pause to breathe, right? I need to
You
breathe.
don't need to. You don't need to breathe.
I'm a human being. I'm not an alien, unlike some characters in this show.
I think that's questionable.
Anyway, we'll give you a warning in the middle before we get to spoilers. This is the reimagining of Roswell, which was a WB show, which is what kind of turned out of the CW. Well, it combined forces with UPN and became the CW. But Roswell was a WB show back at the end of the 90s. Kind of after, you had your Dawson's Creek and your Charmed and other, shows that were hits with teens from the WB in the 90s. You may also remember the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
I
but
don't.
Roswell was kind of in the middle of that wave, and it was a show about teenagers, and some of them were aliens, and the joke was you're in Roswell, so it's like it's like ties into the
Obviously,
culture and
yeah.
blah blah blah. But they have superpowers. Like it was three siblings. One had healing powers, and the other two had. I don't know if they're the same as what they are on this show. I can't remember. I seen season 1 of the original show a long time ago. I don't remember what their powers were. It's been a long time ago. There was definitely a healer, and I think it was the main guy again. But it's very vague. Like I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Details. That's what we're here for.
Oh, of this show, sure, not the original show. I don't remember the original show that well. I remember Dido played in the opening credits. That's the main thing I remember. But they were younger. This is the weird thing that the reimagining on the CW. They're actually all older. They're actually in their 10th high school anniversary. A fact, by the way, that made me feel old because I realised that I'm also of that age, and I'm like, you assholes. But that's weird for the CW though, right? Because CW, you expect them to go as young as they can.
Yeah, I expect not necessarily high school. I think CW has actually kind of moved away from high school,
That's fair, but
I do expect early 20s.
yeah, I expect like early 20s. They should actually still be in like college or university studying what they're doing, but instead they're
But for
already.
some reason, they've all got really advanced professions.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Barry in like The Flash. Like he's already a CSI, but he's 22, and I'm like, I feel like he should still be studying if that's what he's if that's what his profession's going to end up being. But so anyway, it's weird for the CW to go a bit older, and I guess they kind of are. But the weird thing is though, is that because they often cast people who are about this age anyway to play those ages,
It just looks the same as always.
it looks the same as always. Yeah, I was actually laughing because there's flashbacks in this episode to a couple of the characters in high school, and I'm like, yeah, this looks like a normal CW show. Like I'd complain they look too old, but this just looks normal for this network.
It does, yeah.
Um, so yeah, so the premise of the show is pretty simple and similar again. Some characters are aliens. They've got superpowers. They're aged up though. It's got a sort of political kind of slant to it this time though, where the lead character is Hispanic, and we're kind of bringing in the idea of deportation, and we're bringing and I think this is a good idea in a broad sense because the whole idea of the aliens being scared of like people finding out who they are and then wanting rid of them or wanting to dissect them because they're different, and then you relate that to actual immigration. It's like, okay, you can see what science fiction, right? That's what you do.
Yeah, I mean it's not subtle, but that's fine.
Yeah,
Sci-fi
yeah, yeah.
isn't always.
But like science fiction, like you use the fantastical elements of sci-fi to talk about real things. That's what you do.
Yeah, and aliens. I mean, we call immigrants aliens all the time. For a reason, right? Because we've seen these stories done so much.
Um, yeah, we as in the human race, sure.
Yeah, not us specifically.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used aliens to describe an immigrant.
I mean, it's a thing.
I know it's a thing. It was just the way you said it.
Yeah, we as a culture, not necessarily me personally.
You would. Anyway, so aliens and one's a cop. I wasn't quite sure what the woman's profession was. The sister, and then the younger brother. Well, I think they're all about the same age, honestly. But the sort of the one who's got the attitude.
Yeah.
He's just kind of a drifter. Doesn't seem to be doing anything.
He's just in jail.
Yes, he just comes in and out of jail. He's drinking. He's doing whatever.
Yeah.
And then the lead character has been away for 10 years. She left it after high school and she's come back. And she, there was a tragedy with her sister. Her sister died quite young before she left. And she's back now because her her research. She's a scientist. Her research dried up, and she's back in town now, and reacquainting with people. And it's a common setup for a show is you have someone coming back to the small town home, like
Yeah.
after they've been away. That's a common thing. Do you know what's funny? Like, early on this episode, I was thinking to myself, this isn't so bad. I was liking kind of the feel of the town, even though, like, as someone who actually like records podcasts, I think it's the worst environment ever to record a podcast would be sitting in a restaurant surrounded by people walking around. But
Yeah. I mean, as long as you got good mics.
but I mean, not even just in terms of recording, though, just in terms of distraction. Like, just feeling that you can talk, like nothing's wrong. Like, just like
I mean, I don't know about that because I will sit in a pub and talk about anything.
to yourself though.
No. I mean, sure.
It's a different
But
mindset. It's a different mindset. I'm just saying, right? But what I was getting at though is I kind of like the vibe of this alien like, conspiracy podcaster, right? And the restaurant's all alien themed, and it's like dealing with the tourism and the fact that people come here and dressed as Mulder
yeah,
and Scully and whatever, right? I was like, oh, kind of digging the vibe of what they're doing here. The lead actress I think's okay. Like I think she has presence. She doesn't seem like she's a bad actress. The moment, the moment where it shit dived. Was when the cop showed up at the restaurant after it had closed and the piano started coming in and he was like, I'm not one of the bad guys, Liz. I'm not one of the bad guys. And I was just, all right, here we go. We're going full CW. And it just went,
I can
boom.
describe this show in 2 words:
Yes.
boring trash. I don't mean trash as bad. I mean, as in trashy.
Yes. It's not the worst trashy thing I've ever seen. Like, it's not like...
No, but it's really bland after that opening.
Oh yeah, it's really bland. Yeah, because the opening has some narration and it's okay. It's laying on the themes a bit thick, especially when in that scene with the cop back at the restaurant where they start talking about immigration and ICE and the wall, and it was just like, okay, right, you're really laying it on thick now. I get it. Like you can be a bit more subtle about it, please. But fine, right? You're doing that thing. But it was basically once they introduced him properly, because we see him briefly before that, at the checkpoint. But once he showed up at the restaurant, from then on out, every scene with him was pretty dire. His brother and sister weren't much better. In fact, anytime he was arguing with his brother about like who to tell about the
There was
fact
a
that
scene where
aliens...
he shouts at the brother.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be like a big serious moment. That I just made me laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the dialogue, the acting, a bit of both, the delivery on it, but oh boy, it was awful.
Yeah. Everything else it does for the rest of the episode, I flat out didn't like. The only thing that I could even compliment for the rest of it really is the lead actress. I thought she stood out amongst the rest of the actors of just having a presence, and that didn't feel like she was like. It feels like she's kind of slumming it with everyone else. Everyone else is a CW actor, and she's kind of a little bit better.
Yeah, see, I didn't feel like she was that great. She was just above everyone else, but it felt like a particularly low bar.
I mean, sure. Like, I mean, you have to turn it into the negative side of looking at it, but
No, but that's how I felt when I was watching it. I didn't think she was like. There was no point where I thought, oh, she's really good.
Well, we didn't really
like,
get a chance to see if she's really good. I thought she was fine. Like none of her
fine.
line delivery was making me cringe.
No, but that's my point. She was fine. Everyone else was bad.
Yes, you're arguing with me over semantics here. What I'm saying is that amongst everyone else, she actually felt like she belongs in a TV show, whereas everyone else didn't.
Sure, can't argue with that.
Right? I mean, sure, her sister in the flashback is from Legion, and I like her, but like she's in one little flashback, so
yeah, it doesn't count.
Doesn't really matter. There's some really goofy scenes. Like there's scenes where it cuts back to like a flashback, and like the main dude Max, the cop, is like staring at the lead girl through the window as she's dancing with her friends, and it's just really like both pathetic and creepy, but also cheesy and like lovesick. It's just a mix of all these things that just makes it feel shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wait, we didn't like it.
Not particularly. It's not the worst pilot we've done by any means. It's not even in the bottom 10. But
no, not even close. But it falls into that range of being so generic, like love triangle stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, okay. I guess it's a CW pilot.
It's a CW pilot. That's basically what we're saying. But but it's not as bad as some. Like if I was comparing this to say Charmed, I don't know which one I'd say was the better one. Like I think this benefits from not rushing through too much plot. It actually, I'll give it some credit and say it keeps itself fairly focused in just kind of the discovery.
Yeah.
Doesn't squeeze too much in. They're both guilty of being really on the nose with what they're doing, but Charmed arguably had more interesting things going on, I guess I'd say.
Fair enough. I was
I-
obviously away when Charmed hit, so I never saw it.
I'm just comparing it because that's the last CW pilot I
Yeah,
watched.
I can't remember what the last one I watched was. They've not had they've not had a lot of interesting things for us lately, have they? You know, we try a lot of the genre ones that they do.
See, I thought this was going to be better at the start because the opening had a little bit of tone. Like it felt like it was going for something. And
Yeah.
then it, like I say, once the piano started at the diner scene, it just shut it all down the toilet.
Yeah,
Which would have been fine if it was just that scene and then it got better again, but it never did. It was just kind of like that for the rest of the episode.
it was. Yeah.
And you know, it has the hook at the end where it reveals a little bit more about something. It's like, she knows they're aliens, but there's this little secret that she can never know, and you know, things like that.
Because of course there is, right? It's you know, we talk a lot about the extra hook at the end of a first episode and how important that can be to get you to come back. You know, if the rest of the episode's been kind of so and you're on the fence, that moment can determine if you come back or not. This is the most generic, boring hook at the end of an episode I can think of.
And the problem is as well is it's not even so much the concept of what it is a bad idea. It's the fact that we hear about it in dialogue and it includes the line, "She can never know this."
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like if your character's saying someone can never know this, you're being a generic writing hack. Quit.
Yeah.
Or go learn to write better dialogue.
That is awful writing.
It's terrible. There was another scene as well that the brother is like in a kind of like relationship with this other guy, this like vet who's came back from Iraq, and their kind of like main scene where they end up kissing at one point. There was some really bad dialogue in that scene. I thought where the other guy says like, oh, you know, maybe I should you know, pack up and leave and never come back or never see you again. And then the other guy's like, is that what you want? And I'm like, this is like you're taking cliched lines out of a screenwriting book right now.
No, there is. You're down to the point of when you know when the main girl and Max, you know, they're talking about what happened, and he's like, oh, you know, I thought about following you, and then it comes back around a few minutes later, and it's like, oh, you would have followed me, and it's just this awful, cheesy, not even a good kind of cheese, just generic cheese.
Yeah, just really generic, cheesy dialogue. I mean, is there any? I mean, I guess there's like one little line of dialogue here or there that isn't so bad, but it's like
every so often I don't cringe.
Like that. This was cheesy. Right? I mean, I'll just say spoilers. Honestly, there's not a lot to spoil though. I feel like we've talked about most of what we want to talk about.
Barring the very final moment, which we danced around there, that's it.
Yeah, kind of. But I want to just give a spoiler warning before I say this next thing. So, yeah. So after he shows like the glowing egg sacs they apparently came out of, even though they crashed in 1947, like they came out like in 1997, 50 years later, and he's with her and she's like they're getting close to kissing, right? And then he backs off and says, no, because I healed you with my touch, we're kind of like psychically linked right now. So what you're really feeling right now is just how I feel about you. So this isn't real. I'll just, you know, I shouldn't do this. And she's like, when does that wear off? And he's like, a couple of days. Like, well, I'll kiss you in a couple of days then. I was like, okay, that was a neat line. That was a bit cheesy.
Bordering on witty.
Yeah, it was bordering on witty because it was like, she's making the point of, no, this is not just you influencing me. I actually feel about you. But she said it in an almost witty way. It was like, you know, it was an endearing line, and I think it stood out to me in that scene because every other line of dialogue felt really cheesy and generic, and that line stood out as no, that was actually kind of a neat little response. It was like it meant something. It meant she cared about him, and it was, you know, it was like, oh, it's an okay line.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue there's a problem that I'm noticing it so much because every other line's so bad that I'm like, hey, that was...
It's not a great sign, is it? Because it's not that good a line.
No, it's not that good a line. It's just it stands out amongst everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, so she's got like a doctor friend who saw the handprint on her when he examined her, or when they were. It was actually when they were kissing, like
It was, yeah.
randomly one night. But I say randomly one night.
No, no. She was like, Joe, what? I'm just gonna go out and have some fun, and it's like, well, he's there, and they're in the car, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? That glowing handprint on your chest.
And then he tells like a soldier friend because he always heard from his dad, if you see the glowing handprint, tell your soldier friend. And the
It's
soldier
so
friend.
specific.
Ta-
Imagine telling your kid that if you see a glowing handprint, you tell the soldiers.
well, he said he was mumbling it on his deathbed. That was the exact thing. It was he had a mantra that he said before he died. But the soldier dude like takes him to his secret base, which I know he'd had a hand scanner that was facing up the way and had no cover outside, and I thought, anytime there's any bad weather, that screen's going to get hammered. Like, I know it's Roswell, so it's maybe not a lot of rain per se, but like, dust storms, things like that. Like,
Maybe they just put an umbrella above it when there's rain coming.
I thought it was just have a little door for it at least.
I don't dispute you. So,
Like,
I mean, logic would dictate, yeah, just put a cover
but
on.
that was just facing upwards, and I'm like, that screen's just going to like. There's a reason why you don't leave like every TV you've ever bought is told you not to like have it in direct sunlight for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not good for it.
Not that anyone ever reads that information on the TV packets.
Well, because no one would ever consider leaving it in direct sunlight. Like, it's almost irrelevant. But just in case you're stupid enough to do it.
Yeah.
Not for outdoor use. What a shock. Anyway, so it goes in, and I felt the TV budget here a little bit because it was like, here's a secret base where we study the aliens. And
it was a tiny room. It was really badly lit.
And there was also no one there. It's like, is it just you? And then the doctor did? It's just the two of you? Is that all it is? Because it's so small, it feels like he's just a crazy nut job who believes all this, rather than it being
apparently this is the government.
Yeah, but rather than it being a funded thing that is the government branch, it feels like, no, he's just a nut job. He's just dressed it up in a way that looks kind of official.
Pretty much. It's all down to the hand scanner, isn't it? That's it. There's no budget for a cover. Just had to make do.
Well, I wouldn't even complain that much if it was on the wall like a normal like hand scanner and it wasn't facing up the way.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, you stick an umbrella over it. It's all good.
Anyway, yeah. So the sister in the past, she was on drugs and she was in a car accident that killed 2 innocent people. So everyone kind of hates their family because of that.
Someone outright calls the sister a murderer at one point. I'm like, that's manslaughter at best.
That's what you're disputing here?
I know people are exaggerating, but come on, be right.
Like, I totally believe someone would call her that. Like, I don't. Like,
I do too.
I know that legally, in the definition of the law, that's not exactly what happened, but like,
yeah,
I get it. They would do it. What I thought was weird though is that because the episode starts, the reason why she gets injured, but then Cop Boy has to heal her, is because there's like someone starts shooting at the diner because it's the anniversary of this thing that happened.
Yeah, that seemed extreme.
And which is fine on its own, but I was like, why is the cop not looking for who did that the rest of the episode? Why is that not the plot that who tried to kill
it's
her and her
kind of
father?
like, well, yeah, we kind of just expect it, just let it go.
Yeah, like no one tries to follow up on it, and
weird.
I'm sure it'll come back in a future episode, but like it just felt weird. No, it will.
I mean, maybe from her perspective, but not in terms of anyone actually was looking into it.
Oh no, that's what I mean. I don't mean that he's going to look into it right now. I mean they'll get attacked again, or there'll be more harassment or whatever, and and it'll lead to eventually something happening because it's happening again. But it just felt weird that there wasn't even an attempt. There wasn't even a line of dialogue of like, there's a dead end. It's a cold,
No, you're right. It was weird.
I just thought it was odd.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Sister has mind powers. She can like erase memories and stuff. Which we find out is that happened to her 10 years ago. They erased her memory and made her leave.
But she doesn't do it anymore because that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your tone?
I'm just being condescending.
To be fair, that's a good. I mean, that's fair. I think that she grew up and said, you know what, maybe I shouldn't. Morally speaking, I probably shouldn't mess with people's minds.
Yeah, no, I get that. I feel like it'd have more weight if I'd seen some impact of it.
I don't have any problem with the concept in and of itself.
Yeah.
I also I don't have a problem with the concept of that twist though. If anything, this is why I thought the ending with she could never know about her sister was too much, on top of being really cheesy, because I thought the twist that they made her do this already, like when it's like, oh, you did this 10 years ago, that's why she left. I'm like, okay, that's a decent enough hook. It's like, okay,
There's that. Then you've got the soldier stuff, and
you got
then
soldier
you've
stuff.
got she could never know what really happened with her sister.
Yeah, and it's like, And it's funny because it's not only that it's cheesy, it actively makes me less interested. Not that I wanted to come back anyway. I was kind of out at this point,
Yeah.
regardless. But it actively made me go, okay, I definitely don't want to watch more of this then.
Yeah.
I'm definitely out.
We don't need this in our lives.
We don't. But we
I'm not
tried
sure
it.
that anyone really does, to be honest.
We tried it. We did our best. But it's not very good. At the same time, though, like I don't want to completely say that, like, if you like cheesy CW shows, I feel like this is right up your alley. You'll enjoy it.
Here's the thing, though. Even with the cheesy CW trashy things, I feel there's probably better options than this.
Possibly. I'm not saying it's the best of the bunch. I'm saying, if you like that type of show, this is probably going to fit into your roster quite happily.
No, I get that. I get it.
I mean, it's definitely not the worst type of CW show I've seen either.
No, it's not. But even some of the CW shows don't have the dialogue. Oh, she could never know what. Like that was even for what I expected in the writing of a CW pilot. That was bad. So I feel like no. If you like this sort of thing, which I get it, I understand why people do. There's better options than this, from what I can tell.
There's also worse options.
I mean, there is, but
I'm sure we've done worse pilots from CW.
Yeah, almost certainly.
I'm struggling to think of them right now, but I'm sure we've done them.
Yeah. I mean, we covered some CW.
Maybe I'm thinking of Freeform, because I feel like Freeform is CW turned up to 11.
It kind of is, isn't it?
And that's what I'm thinking of, because Freeform by and large are worse versions of CW shows, from what I've seen.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, if you wanted the trashy CW show, I mean, right now, off the top of my head, Riverdale's better than this. And it was from the first episode.
No, Riverdale's first episode was better. No, absolutely. I don't disagree.
I mean, I'm assuming it kept the same-ish standard, right?
It got crazier. I don't know if I'd say it got.
I'm not willing to say it got better or worse.
I'd say it got worse because Riverdale to begin with wasn't as stupid or didn't have the same silly ideas that it eventually had. The reason why I stopped watching Riverdale is because it started doing really stupid things.
Fair enough.
So it definitely got worse.
In that sense, yeah. I'm just having a glance at our graveyard, see if there's any CW ones that stand out as
There'll be some
as worse than this necessarily. I mean,
this is Riven.
It is, but I'll be honest, nothing's jumping out at me as worse than this at the minute. Emerald City, no, that was NBC. Never mind. God, no, that was sci-fi. Good Behavior, which one was that one? Oh no, that one was. I don't remember what that was. Some of these were really forgettable, I'm not gonna lie. Frequency, that was CW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was maybe better than this one.
That was an odd show because that was like a darker CW show. They were going for something a bit more.
Yeah. No Tomorrow, that was at the same time.
Yeah.
That was not not a genre show, but fell into a lot of the same traps that this did, though, I would say, in terms of the dialogue and the characters.
I don't remember a single line of dialogue on that show.
I remember feeling it was very cheesy.
I don't remember any dialogue on that show. I can't claim any of this.
Fair enough.
You're not too far back.
Yeah, well, I mean we've not really covered a lot of CW pilots in the past year. Sorry.
Well, let's wrap this up then. You're delaying the inevitable here.
Yeah. Well, I thought there might be something interesting in there.
Oh dear, yeah. It's just really mediocre.
It is.
Is ultimately what I'd say. It's mediocre CW cheese. If you would enjoy that, then great. The acting on this, though, from most people, and the dialogue makes me want to bang my head against the wall. So I'm good. I'm out. Even though conceptually I think I could enjoy a show with this premise, this is not doing it.
Yeah, because this was one that I remember when it was announced on the news, and we were like, yeah, that seems like something we could enjoy.
That's the problem with a lot of CW shows, is it seems like we could enjoy them, but then they're CW-fied.
Yeah, they do this. Like I say, not as bad as what Freeform tend to do, but
no,
still beyond our tastes.
But yeah, so let us know what you thought of the Roswell, New Mexico pilot, and the comments, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there, but otherwise that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?